Okay, folks, just a quick bit of housekeeping. This first portion is live content for Radio TV Online. The second part will be for Barter Written Word. And following that first section, TV can exit back to the room and head to Duke's room, and online radio head back of the room into the library. Okay, that'll be great. Any recording on a mobile phone, make sure it's switched to flight mode, please. And we will get underway with head coach Joe Schmidt and announcing team for the weekend.
The team to play Scotland Saturday 4 February is Rob Carney at fullback, Keith Earls and Simon Zebo on the wings. In the midfield, Robbie Henshaw and Gary Ringrose. And the halves, Conor Murray at 9 and Paddy Jackson at 10. The forward pack, Jack McGrath, Rory Best, captain, and Tyke Furlong. Iain Henderson and Devon Toner in the middle row. And in the back row, CJ Stander, Sean O'Brien and Jamie Heaslip. The replacements are Niall Scannell, Ken Healy, John Ryan, Alton Delan, Josh van der Fleer, Kieran Marmion, Ian Keatley and Tommy Bowe.
Joe, you've had some tough calls there. Can you talk us through your selection process and your thinking?
We got the team together last Monday. We trained Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We trained Monday, Tuesday and again today, so they're very, very short windows, and what we've tried to work through is probably the team who are currently in a fully fit position to contribute as best they can and have contributed through that training window.
What about Doug Ryan? No place for him in the squad?
He had a niggly medial ligament, so he didn't train last week. He trained on Tuesday, really was the first time he trained. So, he's been super for us in recent times, but it really is a very, very tight turnaround. And, Donica, we just had uncertainty around Donica. We wanted to see how he finished up after training on Tuesday. Now, he came through really well, trained well today as well. But we wanted a bit more certainty than that, and at the same time, Ian here has done a super job for us in the past, and Dev has also given us sterling service.
Joe, is there more definitive news on how long Sexton, Mahoney and Trimble will be on for?
Look, I'd say realistically, Johnny is an outside chance for Italy. Pete O'Mahony is highly unlikely for Italy. Pete, he's probably bordering on grade 1, grade 2 with his hamstring. It's a strain. It's not bad, but if we push him back too soon, we don't want to cause further damage. So we will probably progress him a little bit slower, which will mean the turnaround for Italy will be too tight. Andrew Trimble would be pretty confident that he'll be right. Again, his is more of a niggle, not anything serious, but it would be a fine line this weekend. And again, we don't want somebody going out and coming off in the first 10 or 15 or 20 minutes.
And we know Johnny's, in particular, his injury profile. How frustrating is it to be without him again for such a start of the championship?
Yeah, look, no greater frustration than for Johnny himself. He was incredibly motivated for this Six Nations Championship. He's probably frustrated that he did the injury in the first place in cast, and that's hung over to now. And so for us, I think he's probably played about 82 minutes for the national team in their last 8 test matches. So, for us, it is a real frustration, and no different for him. But in the Six Nations, the 3 Six Nations that I've been involved in, Johnny has dominated the number 10 position. So, we're still hopeful that he can come back in and potentially do that for us. At the same time, Paddy has trained really well, and Paddy played all 3 tests in South Africa. He played the test against Australia, started from the start against Canada, came off the bench reasonably early on against the All Blacks for Johnny. So it's not like he hasn't had some really good experience in recent times at a very high level.
So is Sexton's durability a concern for you looking into the future?
Not really. I don't think there's many players that don't go through a period of kind of injury and a little bit of bad luck. I mean, there was there was a very minor injury going into the cast match for Johnny, and it just probably triggered an extension of that injury. So I think for us, it's just about getting him 100% fit before he goes back out there. And I think it's a bit like Rob Kearney last year, had a series of just continual injuries, but he's been really robust for us this year. So things tend to ebb and flow a little bit, and hopefully they'll flow a bit better in the back half of the championship.
Joe, considering Ian Kicky's lack of game time without half, has the policy on not selecting foreign players tightened in the last year or two?
No, it hasn't. I think with regard to that, his time at out half is not too much different than Ian Madigan's. Ian had an injury and was out for about 4 weeks. He's been mixing up starts and coming off the bench as he did last week, 2 weeks ago against Ulster. Ian couldn't train with us last week. We only trained on the Tuesday and then the Thursday, Friday he was preparing to come off the bench for Bordeaux Beg against Claremont. So as I mentioned, those training windows earlier on, and I think the other thing is that we are incredibly keen to support the provinces. If we demonstrate to players that we're happy to pick players from outside of Ireland, then potentially one of the big draw cards for keeping them here will be lifted, and players will more likely go overseas. I think one of the things that keeps them here is the player management, and another thing that keeps them here is that they know they are going to be closer to the front of the queue in the competition to play for their national team.
And on the flip side of that, though, the risk of Ian Madigan and Marty Moore come off the bench that delivered and won 6 Nation titles. What about losing that kind of depth of experience? I know you're bringing through John Ryan, but is there a concern in that sense that there's a risk going the other way?
They haven't gone away. I've had some good conversations with Ian lately. It's not like he's disappeared and he's off the radar. We know we can whistle him in, but we also know during the Six Nations period that we play 2 matches, then he'd have to go back. We'd play 1 match, he'd have to go back, and then we'd get to play the last 2 matches. So it's not like you get a continuity of work space with the actual player. So that's a real frustration for us. And it's the same with Marty. And at the same time, Marty was probably ahead of Tig in the Leinster kind of hierarchy of tight heads when Marty left. And Tig Furlong has come through. John Ryan is working his way through. Finlay Bealham has played a lot, including coming off the bench against the All Blacks. So it's probably allowed an opportunity for other people. This time last year, nobody was talking about Joey Carberry. Now, unfortunately, Joey's picked up an injury, but at the same time, he launched himself into the limelight, where I very much doubt that would have happened if Ian Madigan was actually there. So, I think I agree with you. I think there's flip sides either way, and it's not an ideal situation not to have every player who's Irish qualified on the island and immediately available. The ones who are playing overseas, they are available, but it's a fluctuating availability, and that's a little bit frustrating in the preparation you're trying to have.
Last couple.
The Scottish lineout's a particular strength of theirs. What have you been looking at in particular, and how you might be able to combat that?
Yeah, look, we have looked at them. We've looked at them in quite some depth. We know they put a fair bit of pressure on, and they're probably one of the better contesting teams in the Six Nations. We know that we've just had to knuckle down, really get our own detail right, concentrate on ourselves, make sure we do what we know we can do right and what we can do well. And look, when our line-out functions well, we know we can win ball off a lot of teams in this tournament, as we've proven in the past. In terms of their attack, they have good options there with both the Gray brothers and almost a full jumping back row as well. But again, we just need to make sure we do our homework and keep on working in the detail and making sure we can stop as many of those options as possible.
Sorry, I was just finished with Paul.
Joe, sorry, just want to ask you about Scotland. You've talked them up a lot. Are they really that good?
I'm not sure I've talked them up that much, but I think they really are that good, and I think match up man for man, and I think it's going to be a great game of footy. You look at their back three, you look at their midfield. I think there was a little bit predictable in the selections, maybe just that there was a couple of guys who were coming back from injury in that midfield, but Hugh Jones was spectacular for them in the autumn. I think his ability to slip tackles, like the tackle Kurandrani attempted, and he slipped through and made the try. He slipped through the Argentinians and got the ball away for another try, and got through on the chip ahead from Finn Russell. Their back row, as Ian mentioned, they've got I think they've got really complementary back rows. They've got the power of Josh Strauss, they've got the athleticism of Ryan Wilson, and they've got the speed of Hamish Watson. So again, there's balance there. There's balance with the Gray brothers in the middle row, and I think Xander Ferguson, he poached 2 balls on the ground in his last match. He's very, very good on the ground, as is Fraser Brown, who's a converted back row. So there's a real mix there. I think Greg Laidlaw and Finn Russell are real quality, and I think Finn Russell has demonstrated that more and more. So I don't think I need to talk them up. Probably I think it's pretty self-evident when you see what Stuart Hogg did to us last year, what Tommy Bowe continues to do to teams for Glasgow and Scotland, and the athlete that Sean Maitland is. If you're starting player for Saracens, you can't be going too badly because they don't tend to lose too many games.
Despite all these injuries, do you go to Murrayfield, not to Scotland tonight, tomorrow, with a lot of confidence that you can get off to a new start?
I think you have quiet confidence all the time because you know how hard the players have worked, and you know how collective they have been in that endeavour, and you know that they're going to try to express themselves as best they can on the pitch on Saturday. So you take confidence that you know you're going to get a maximal effort from them. Is that going to be enough? I think one of the best things about this championship is we can't be sure, because we know that they're a quality side as well, and that's what people want from a championship. They want games where they've got teams going in and they're not quite sure. They hope this team wins or that team wins, but they're not quite sure because on any given day when the matchups happen, one guy could slightly get the better of the other, and that it's not necessarily what I want, to be honest, Sinead. I'd rather have it that we can get a cakewalk, but I know that's a very, very distant thing, that's not going to be the case. And I think there's going to be a lot of games in the championship that are just like this one, where people are going to really struggle to pick an outcome.
Okay, guys, sorry, we have to keep moving because there's lots, lots to get